What is up, responsible day traders? Today is Monday, February 20th, 2023. I am Lindsay Duff, and this is Responsible Day Trading. I'm just really proud of myself because I didn't say the wrong day or year, and we're good to go. So today was President's Day, and there was a halt in the market. So it did run for a little bit this morning. This is why I didn't do a video last night. I usually wait to do it on Mondays if we have a Monday opening. So, now the market did move up for a while. It has been pulling back. Now it's pulling back to an area that could create a bounce. We did see reasons for it to bounce off of this area, and it's a low that we had a little while back, and I'd drawn an arrow on my charts so that I could just kind of remember that spot was there, and it's pulled back right to it, just overran it by a bit. The question is, are we going to continue pulling down to that, and are we going to push through that area, or is that area going to hold and we're going to move back up to the upside? It's going to have to be a watch and wait. I mean, that's the way it always is, right? We want to see the movement. We want to know that we're going in the right direction. And speaking of going in the right direction, guys, don't forget that the end of April, we're going to be hosting a seminar. Now that seminar is for you guys who are already students and for those who are looking to become new students or learn about the market from the ground up. Maybe you've been trading for a while and you've found that your style that you learned isn't really working for you. So maybe come and check this out and see if we can help you to flow with the market. We are going to have two separate seminars, one for current students and one for those who are learning from the ground up. We're going to walk through how to install NinjaTrader, how to open up your charts, how to work it. And then we're going to go through what we're seeing on the charts, things like what are price bars? What are flag reversals? What are head and shoulders? What are all those kind of things? What are the EMAs? What are the MACDs? What is divergence? And learn that through there. So those are what we have coming up. And so that's going to be the very end of April. If you want to learn a little bit more about it, you can check it out here at info@responsibledaytrading.com. All right, so let's go ahead and dive off into it. Let's check out the news first, and then we're going to see what the market holds for us. All right, so here we are at responsibledaytrading.com. We're going to go right here to news, and then we're going to go to market news. Now, under market news, we're going to see, we did have a holiday today. Tomorrow, we're going to have 9 a.m., so 30 minutes after the market opens. And ooh, look what we got coming up on Wednesday is FOMC. Now, I never suggest that you should stay out of the market whenever we have news. Sometimes it will spike really bigger than you expected, and there's really nothing you can do about it except for sit out before and after. Now, that is a strategy that a lot of people use. And if I know we've got something big, I'm going to sit out. And FOMC is big. So that's something usually probably 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after, that I'm just going to kind of sit and watch and wait. Sometimes it does nothing, but other times it just has a burst of energy in the market that is too much for your stop to hold. It just sometimes it can just push right through it. Okay, so on Thursday, we've got some pre-market an hour before market opens, and then an hour and a half after the market opens, we've got crude oil inventories. Friday, we have an hour before market opens and 30 minutes after. So we've got a lot of news going on this week, and that might be some market movers. Now let's go ahead and check out the market. We're going to start here with the daily chart. Now you can see I drew this arrow actually on the daily chart, and just look here on the 10,946. You can see where it came from over here. And I was just looking at this area saying, okay, well, if we come back down to this, we really, really want to pay attention. We did come down to it, but we really didn't exceed it by a whole lot. We're really just kind of hung out at that area, and everything pushed back up. And we'll come back to that in just a minute after we look at the daily chart and after we look at the 28,657. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what's gone on here. We were below the EMAs here, below the zero line. We got back above the EMAs and back above the zero line. And we're just kind of sitting here and trying to determine, is this going to be the area that holds? Now, like I said, we did overrun this by a little bit. We have something that resembles a flag reversal bar. The next bar didn't do anything because that was just a half a day, right? So it didn't really have time to develop all day and definitely didn't have all the people playing in the game. We can see right now the MACDs are outside of the Bollinger Bands and moving to the downside. They don't have a lot of separation between them. You can see here when the MACDs went down, there was a lot of separation. They were really just spread apart as they're moving down. Whenever they don't quite have distance between them, and I have it really spread apart so it looks like a lot of distance, when they don't have a lot of distance between them, it can show signs of weakness. Now, we are still outside, but we are still above the zero line. So without having a whole lot of strength, without it looking something like this to come through the zero line with the distance really, really separating between the BBs, then I'm not going to expect it to push through. So as this pulls back into here, and if it decides to pull back further, I want to watch, are these EMAs going to open up a little bit more? They are very, very weak. The crossover was not a strong crossover that we like to see. And we like to see the EMAs really start to push to the upside. We're not quite seeing that. Currently, what we're seeing is something that looks more like the EMAs right here. So are we going to see it pull back down into it, cross it, and do something like this, which we may very well see? Or are we going to see it come down here, start to roll and push up, and give this as an area just a little bit of an overrun of that last pivot point and push up? Now, we have a couple of areas down below us that, could also create the bounce. Obviously, we've got the EMAs just a little bit lower. We have where we held back here. And then we have where we have crossed this area that had come down here and we couldn't break through it all these times. Are we going to come back here and bounce off of that before it goes up? So they're all pretty interesting areas to watch and be aware of. So just as it's playing out, I'm going to keep those in mind as we're coming back down here if it does continue down. Or I'm going to watch what this MACD does. Is it going to roll up and start to go inside and cross the top Bollinger Band? Are we going to see something like this to show us more of the push down? It all comes with time, and we have to make sure that we're paying attention when it sets it up for us. So let's go ahead and move to the 28,657, which is this chart right here. Okay, this has a very interesting look as well. Didn't have a strong move to the upside. It did move up. It was strong here, but then it weakened a whole lot as we reached these EMAs that are by all means opened up with strength to the downside. The EMAs are opened up with strength, and we know that's going to happen because we had such a big push down, and these EMAs are developed off of the price action that is happening, right? So it's come down here now. We're sitting at this area currently, and the MACDs so far have been fairly weak to the downside. So are we going to roll back up and push up here and see this price action maybe come up higher to the next EMA? Or is this going to be an area where it's going to push down and get back below these? Now, that could very well be what happens. We saw this push down and we had some divergences that showed us that this was going to pull back. We were far from the EMAs. We were looking for the price action to snap back to it, which it did. And it snapped back to it and it just held. I mean, it held. All this time, the BBs were still blowing up. As it's started to pull back, the BBs have turned purple and are moving down. Now, we'd really like to see something more like what's happening in here if we're really going to expect it to just push through there. Something that happens often, though, that we might see, and I want to turn this off really quick, is something like this that pulls back. So a weak movement pulls back with one little BB, and it can't keep up the pace and push down. So those are all some scenarios that I'm going to be looking for as this is developing and moving through the day. So let's go ahead and look at our trading charts. Now, these trading charts don't look too pretty because all of this information right here is what happened in the half day. The price was pushing up. It did give a really good look like it was going to pull back because it was really struggling to push through these top Bollinger Bands. And when it opened up, it just shot to the downside. Now, this may be helpful in seeing this continue down here. One of the things that I am noticing is that the BBs are weakening and they're turning lighter colors. So if this doesn't pick up the pace, then we're probably going to see this give a little bit of a turn and a pullback, maybe back up to here. We'll have to see what happens when it gets back up to, I like to say if it gets back up to the 84 area. Otherwise, we may just see this roll hard and push to the downside. Right now, everything is set up to push this down. On our 10946, the direction is down. We got back above the EMAs here and the MACDs got back above, but we never pulled away and created distance from the EMAs, which is something that we need to see to be really convinced that it's going to push up. So that didn't happen. It rolled back in. The direction remained to the downside on our bigger tick chart. And you can even see how the EMA is starting to try to roll down. So I'm not super convinced that this is going to push back up right away. I mean, it could. It could definitely pull right back into this area and push up right away. As I'm looking at my 1597 direction, long-term, short-term, down. Right? So we've gotten back below the EMAs, we've pulled away from it and closed back below. The one little thing that I do notice about the MACDs here is though the price has been moving down, the MACDs are struggling to keep up. It doesn't mean that they can't just roll up a little bit more and then come back down, but the MACDs are really having a hard time keeping up. Now we do have a lot of other areas below us, a little bit lower, that could create the bounce, but the reason we draw these lines on here is because they are areas that have traditionally created bounces and could definitely still now. When I'm looking at my 233, direction's down. It's attempting to make the move back up, but the direction is down. We pulled down all these little bars and we couldn't break through the bottom Bollinger Band, but with the weakness of the blue BBs right now, it still could. So overall, right now, the direction is down. It does have the ability to move it back up. Obviously, on our daily tick chart, the direction is still up. The overall direction is up. The immediate is working its way back to the downside, but the overall is still considered up. We need to do some more work to see this really push up. We need to get back above here. We need to get back above this area here, pull back in and start making the trend and the higher highs and the higher lows to the upside in order to really be convinced that it's going to go back up. Right now, it's struggling. It does have a look of something that might continue through this area if the MACDs stay on a path of strength to the downside. All right, my friends, that is going to wrap it up. I'm actually going out of town on Wednesday. I have this little special thing that I'll tell y'all a little bit more about later going on in South Carolina. So I'm pretty excited about it. And I'll share little tidbits as I'm on this trip and maybe give you some hints as to what's going on. But I'm going to be heading out there on Wednesday, so I may have a little bit of struggle getting any time in to get any trades because it would have to be tomorrow. And I've got lots of things on my plate tomorrow, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But everybody, I am so grateful that you are here with me. I am every day. I'm just blown away by seeing the changes that come through. Some of you who have been through the program and just seeing that light turn on, which makes my heart light up. So, all right, everybody, I hope that you have an excellent week. Be careful out there. Pay attention. Stay with the flow of the market. Don't try to fight things. Don't try to be the one to turn things around. And, you can take a deep breath. If you're finding the markets being a little bit difficult, step away, go do something else. That's why we do this job, right? Okay, everybody have a wonderful week. And as always, you know that I look forward to catching you on the profitable side.